Hello 102ers. When this video drops, I'm officially on summer vacation from my normal college schedule, leaving only you and me working on this course. Before we get to that, though, I have some things that are very important to speak with you about. I wanted to revisit the college-wide late policy that some of you are either not aware of, not happy with, or are ignoring altogether. The English departments of the 4 campuses of Delaware Technical Community College set forth a cohesive late policy, which all instructors must follow. For the smaller assignments, also known as formative assessments, you have up to 48 hours to turn it in for a late penalty of a 10% hit to your final grade for that assignment, and that's 10% of the total points, not 10% of what you earned. For the larger assignments, also known as the summative assessments, you have up to 1 week to turn it in for a late penalty of a 15% hit to your final grade for that assignment. And again, that's 15% of the total points, not 15% of what you earned. Since I was very clear about this in the first video you should have watched for this course, I just wanted to remind you that this isn't a new policy. Sorry to bring you down so early in the video, but it needed to be said. Equally, the announcements in the video I make each week are not just there to make my bosses think I'm working. These are there to make sure that you know what's going on. I do my wholly best to ensure that everything you need is available for you. So it's a little frustrating when I receive assignments that obviously were done without ever once consulting the samples, the videos, the announcements, or anything else I've provided. This is frustrating for me, but it makes your grades suffer. So please take 20 minutes on Mondays and just review the video, okay? Take 5 minutes and review the announcement. It will only serve to help you. Now that we've gotten that reviewed, let's get to what we're going to be talking about this week, shall we? As always, scroll down, look to the right, find the course schedule, click on the link. We're in the midst of Unit 3 this week, which means a bit more reading than usual, but it's building up your base and theory behind what's coming. So scrolling down to Week 6, as you can see, off we go. We have 4 things for you to review. We have 2 assignments for you to submit. And please remember that the college will be closed on Monday, June 19th for the state recognition of Juneteenth. So, this is going to probably be a pretty long video, and I'm sorry for that. So let's just get started and stop just lollygagging around. In what is an argumentative research paper? It's going to show you, well, you guessed it, what an argumentative research paper is. Now, this is your big paper, folks. It's going to be by far worth the most points of anything this semester. And the first 2 papers that you did, including the one that's due this week, will build toward this. Now, it's not due for a while, but it's good to start thinking about it now. Once again, the details that you need are here, including this cute but pointless image here. Yeah, there's your introduction. Yeah, there's your claim. Okay, great. This doesn't really tell you anything except for what it should look like at the end. But you can go through and click through the Google Slides, which is a bit more helpful. You can download a copy of the sample paper, but I have one for you on the announcements, which is so much better. I want to actually go over the requirements really quickly. Okay? So what we have here is the paper is going to jump up from 3 to 4 pages to 7 to 8 pages. This is your long paper. It's going to be double-spaced, Times New Roman, 12-point, Calibri, whatever. APA formatting on title page, internal citations, and references pages. The topic and the sources should have already been approved by me. Pre-writing assignments are what's required. And must meet minimum requirements for citations and evidence. And we're going through all of that now. So it's going to have your introduction, your background, your claims, your counter-argument, your rebuttal, and your conclusion. These are all really good-looking ideas that you can go through. But I kind of want to show you what it's going to look like right now so you can see it a little bit more in depth. So if you go to your announcements and then you click on the Unit 3 Argumentative Research Paper Directions and Sample PDF, you'll see this. The first 2 pages are going to be the idea of what this paper is all about and kind of showing you where all the nuts and bolts go, okay? What the requirements are, what the steps are, the structure of it. We're going to have an introduction, a minimum of 1 paragraph in the background, your minimum of 3 reasons in your argument, your minimum of 2 paragraphs in your counter-argument and rebuttal, and then finally your conclusion, which will be a single paragraph. So these first 2 pages are very important, but we have down here your sample paper. This is going to go from, page 3 all the way down to what I believe would be page 15. I don't know. But in any case, there is no excuse for you not having APA formatting correct. Because literally all you have to do is use this and just plug in your title, your name, my name, the due date. That's it. That's the title page. And then down here, we actually start with the paper. Please note, we start with the title, and then in the middle, at the beginning of each section, you will have the subheaders appear. Background. Claim 1, and then tell me what that claim is. Claim 2, and then tell me what that claim is. Claim 3, and then tell me what that claim is. Claim 4, and then tell me what that claim is. Counter argument. Rebuttal, and conclusion, followed by a references page that is correctly formatted in alphabetical order by author's last name, not how you use them in the paper. Make sure you use APA formatting, okay? So we're not going to go through it very deeply today simply because I'm just introducing the idea, but we can take a look at it at some point later, and if you needed anything, look through it and ask questions of me in email. Now, after seeing what your future is going to look like, we can go back to here, and then now we're going to find out what a classical argument is. Now, basically, this page is terrible. It's only got 2 videos for you to watch that really doesn't do much teaching. It's just kind of you watching videos. Sort of like you're doing now, but I'm at least a little bit more entertaining. You can watch these 2 videos, absolutely. I've got the links to them on your announcement. You can click right here, all of that. But let me try to explain it in a little bit of a better way. An argument is not just 2 or more people yelling at each other, throwing chairs, kicking over microwaves and refrigerators, throwing trash cans. No. An argument is multiple perspectives on a single topic. It also requires support for each side of that argument, or else we're looking at a simple assertion which becomes more the understanding of the argument that many of you may already have. I'm right, you're wrong. No, I'm right. No, you're wrong. Finger pointing, yelling, spitting follow. That's what most people picture when we say argument. But the idea of argument itself features a few key elements that you need to know. An argument always begins with a thesis. The statement that can be proven true or false. That is so key. This is why you can't have something that's just an opinion. You need something that can be proven true or false. Once that thesis is stated, then the person stating the thesis has to prove that thesis. It's not just a matter of saying, this is what I believe, so disprove me. Because that's actually a logical fallacy known as burden of proof. Remember all those movies and TV shows you watched where scenes took place in the courtroom? The prosecution has to prove their point. They cannot just state an idea and hope that everyone else does the work for them. It's the same thing here. Once you state your thesis, you provide solid evidence to break down that thesis into smaller claims that you can use to prove the entire idea. You'll need at least 3 smaller claims to show how your side of the argument is the stronger side. Once you develop your side, you must be open to the prospect that your opponent, or the other side of the argument, if you don't want to view this as an adversarial thing, has at least 1 or 2 good points of their own. So the counter-argument will be their opportunity to illustrate the opposing side to your thesis. Since you will not be team writing this paper, you will have to do both your argument and the counter-argument, which means you must be fair and complete with the opposing side. Additionally, you have to support that opposing side, which means showing how, in some cases, your side might be a bit weak. Once you go through the counter-argument, you can then provide the rebuttal. This is where you show your reader how the counter-argument, while possibly having a couple of good points, is nowhere strong enough to overwhelm your original argument. If it did, then you may want to rethink your original approach. Overall, the basics of an argument are pretty similar all throughout the world, and even throughout the last few, millennia. We really haven't thought about changing how arguments are done because it's worked so well for us since a few hundred years BC when it was formalized. Now, back here, the next page is the qualities of a good research question. So clicking on there takes us here, and it's actually one of my favorite pages made for this class because I actually don't have any issues with it. In order to move forward with our paper, we need to have a solid direction for our research, which begins with our research question. So how do we create it? Well, by looking at this page. You can get more in depth, but I want you to remember that a good research question is not an opinion. That's what this means here. It's not just I think or I feel or I believe. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what you believe. I care what you can prove. So that's kind of key there. So, it's got to be a question answered using solid research right here. And honestly, it's got to be a question that really, if it hasn't already been answered, well, how can you answer it? How can it be answered for your specific context? So look through this page and see the examples, as I've found it's so much easier to do this than explain this. So all of these ideas are very helpful here, okay? Once you think of it that way, you can glide through the process knowing that you have a solid base. Back here we have our last idea here, our last document, research questions and search terms tips. So going here, and it shows you an easy step to move from your research question to claims that you can prove within your argument. It's simply not a loss of 1 or 2 words. There are a few shifts in thinking to worry about as well. So look through this page and see the examples given, as I've found it's much easier, again, to do than to explain, okay? Once you start putting your own questions in the positions of the samples here, you'll be able to see how easy things are to shift in your own mind. So there you go, okay? You can check here in SIRS and EBSCOhost, and you'll be in great shape. Okay, that was a lot, but I knew this video would be a long one. Sorry. Like I said at the beginning, we have 2 assignments this week. The assignments are for the Unit 2 paper, which is the big one. It's worth, I think, 15% of your grade. Maybe 20. I think it's 15. And the building research questions for Unit 3. They're both, this one's actually pretty easy, the building argumentative research questions. This one you're going to need some time, so hopefully you start ahead. So let's take a look at the Unit 2 informative research essay, shall we? So, we reviewed this paper several times already, so I won't belabor the point, but I have included a sample again in the announcement so you have another opportunity to not lose points on formatting. Please make sure to follow all the requirements and expectations. And just to make sure that you know it, here are the requirements, 4 to 6 pages. 2 sources that you didn't use in Unit 1. APA formatting. Make sure you're following the organizer that was done this past week. Third person for the majority of the essay until you are talking about your exploratory synthesis paragraph, what you discovered and what you think can move forward with examples and source material. Do not use you or your or yourself or anything like that in the second person. Here's our structure again. 1 paragraph for the introduction. And this paragraph must end with your synthesis question. If I get to the end of your introduction and there's no question there, I know that you didn't pay attention and you automatically lose a lion's share of the points, okay? So please make sure you're doing this. Introduction. Last sentence of this paragraph must be your synthesis question. You're going to give a background section, which is going to introduce the 2 authors, article titles, and their central purposes. All of that. Again, look at the organizer. You're going to have your comparing perspectives section, which is a minimum of 2 paragraphs. Make sure that you go through and take a look at those argument points that you did in the organizer, okay? You've got your exploratory synthesis, which might be more than a single paragraph, but it will be at least 1. How did how'd your thoughts change? How'd they stay the same? What new ideas did you come up with? Here's your conclusion. And then down here on page 3, again, we have the sample. Again, if you just plug your information in here, your title, your name, my name, and the due date, you won't lose points. But I still see people ignoring the title page formatting, which drives me insane. So please do that. Get down here and you've got your title, your introduction, your background information with the header here, and then the paragraph introducing both articles. You've got your comparing perspectives section. You're going to have 1, 2 paragraphs here with your 2 argument points. Your synthesis might be multiple paragraphs, or it might just be one really well-written paragraph. It's going to be where you are going with the information you have. Then finally, you have your conclusion. Okay? Shouldn't be all that long, shouldn't be all that much in depth, but it's going to be enough to give a good conclusion for the paper. Finally, you will list out the minimum of 2 sources that you used within the paper in APA formatting. If for whatever reason you use 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, you can add them, but you will have at least 2 here, okay? Follow the formatting. It's a college-wide requirement graded on a college-wide rubric. So if you think that you know what you're doing and you never looked at the instructions, you're gonna lose a lot of points. Please don't put yourself in that situation. After that, we have the Unit 3 Building Argumentative Research Questions and Reasons, and we can just take a look here, and honestly, it's kind of like this, but I've kind of made a much better template for it. As you can see here, it's a little bit different than the sample, but honestly, everything's still there. I just want you to pay attention, okay? I'm trying to direct you a little bit more. You're going to have a minimum of 4 research questions that you asked. You've got your tentative position on the topic. You have your 4 because clauses, why you feel your position in the argument is strong. And then you have your audience understanding, okay? Just be detailed. If you can keep your mind focused on the topic, the ideas will be clearer to you than if you quickly just wrote a couple of words to simply finish the assignment. And that's the video, folks. Just a shade over 3 full pages of script in this week. And, hey, it's summer, right? No, I haven't started drinking yet, but thanks for thinking of me. As for you and your Unit 2 paper, get on it. Have a great week. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. See ya.